I worked at a movie theater, and there have been tons of accounts of paranormal activity. The manager has told me about their experience with seeing a full apparition and having unexplained things happen to them while there. I started working there back in October, and the place has just been renovated, so the whole lobby and the auditoriums are completely redone. I've always been interested in the paranormal and have never really experienced anything, but recently some things have happened that I just wanted to chalk it up as a coincidence, but it has made me feel really uneasy. At the time, a couple of weeks into the job, I was closing with a couple of other people. When we close, we have to wait for all the showings to end so we can go collect trays. After the last showings, we have 4 huge auditoriums and 8 smaller ones, so we had just gone through one big auditorium, Theater 3. It's got an eerie vibe compared to the other bigger ones, and a couple of us were just chatting in there while we waited for the next showings. I made mention of ghosts since they've been working there longer than me, and they told me a few stories while we continued on about ghosts. A theater light flickered. I didn't notice it, but they did and told me. I just assumed they were pulling my leg. I was in the middle of mentioning some stories of a friend who previously worked there when suddenly that light went out. We chuckled awkwardly, and I brushed it off as a coincidence. Well, fast forward to last week. I'm in Theater 3 with one of the guys who's been there for a while. Naturally, I wanted to see if he had any experiences, so I asked. We talked about it, and I began mentioning the light going out in the theater. We're at the very top seats, closest to the ceiling, and there's a light right above me that happens to go out as we discuss it. I awkwardly laugh and say, yes, this number 3 is haunted. But I can't shake that psycho incident. A little later, I head to Theater 6 alone to make sure it's empty and collect the trays. Theater 6 is the theater where the full apparition was seen. I'm walking across the last row when suddenly the light above me goes dim. I glanced around super quickly and noticed no one. The light is affected. I talked and laughed, myself saying, "Screw that," and I rushed out of there. I felt so nervous after that. I'm just curious if anyone thinks that was paranormal in any way, or if I'm getting spooked too easily. I'm a 17-year-old male working a minimum wage job at a movie theater. It's a small, family-owned establishment in Jersey. Nothing like Regal Cinemas or AMC. It's just an okay neighborhood, but a lot seems to happen in the area of the township. So, this happened on my very first day working there. I'm behind the register, learning how to ring up customers' food. My trainer leaves me to help a few customers, sensing I've got it down. Bad idea. A gentleman walks in, balding, and with what appears to be snot dripping from his nose. A lot of it. Greenish. Shiny. In his hand, he had one of those probiotic milkshakes. He walks right up to me, completely ignoring the customer I'm with. Hey, look at me," he says. I look around, and he's clearly speaking to me. And that's definitely not my name. "I hope you're my moment, sir," I tell him clearly. He doesn't like my answer. "I'm off my meds now. I ain't crazy, man." The guy gets more agitated, scowling at me, and I'm getting more and more uneasy. None of my coworkers are in sight. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't know you. If you keep calling me crazy man," he interrupts, "I'll take you behind the dumpster and break off your legs and your jaw and dump your ass in there and know when you get off." Now I'm clearly shaken, and the customer left, also disturbed. "Thanks, man," he says. But before I can even think of what to say or do, the guy walks off and starts smacking an arcade machine we have, trying to talk to a father and a child across the room. I hear him say something about meds right as my trainer walks back in. I told her the story, and she asks the man to leave. He seems hesitant, but he does as she asks. Needless to say, I didn't walk alone to my car after that shift. This happened to my friend Josh about 4 years ago. Josh was working at our local movie theater in a crummy little town. It was about 2 a.m., and he was cleaning up all the popcorn debris that was left behind from a midnight viewing. He's just texting me lazily, as I was playing World of Warcraft at the time and was using his company to stay awake. Then I get a message that says something happened, and I didn't hear from him for about 40 minutes. When he gets back to me, he says that he was just clearing up some popcorn that someone spilled and picking up someone's little cup when he heard a little giggle behind him. It sounded like a young child, definitely female. He turned around, creeped out as he knew there was no one there. And, indeed, no one was there. The sound was now coming from the hallway. So, down the stairs he plopped and peeked around the corner. No one was there. At that moment, he decided he'd had enough, went to speak with a coworker, and cooled off for about 20 minutes before venturing back in. He didn't hear that girl again, but when he spoke with a manager the next day, it was common knowledge in that theater that it is haunted by the ghost of a little girl. As allegedly, the site the movie theater stands on used to be an old schoolhouse where apparently some girls died. I don't believe in ghosts or spirits now, but my 11 to 12-year-old self did not like that place. These are my older brother's experiences. He used to work at a movie theater about 2 to 3 years ago when he was about 23 or so. This theater was large and stood out in our tiny Oregon coast town. My brother Alex was going to work there to get extra money, along with my mother's friend Jill, who was a manager at the time. He started out in janitorial work, late at night to the early hours of the morning. At first, it was a pain to him, and he hated getting up for the graveyard shifts. But the weird stuff that kept happening meant he would keep going back. One night he was on bathroom duty just as Jill left to take another worker home, leaving him by himself. As he was cleaning a stall, he could hear someone's footsteps and, to be safe, went into the stall next to him and locked the door. He quickly got up to check the stall next to him, which swung open easily with one yank, and no one was in the store. Needless to say, he got out of the bathroom faster than a bat out of hell and waited a good 30 minutes in the candy's room to calm down. Even other workers had complained of weird things happening, such as people walking behind them, breathing on their necks, whispering, touching, and things moving in the projection room. Even workers before them reported the hydraulic door slamming and lights flickering. Apparently, the last Genesis that worked there made the spirit angry enough that he would manifest in the storage rooms or in reflections, scaring them to make the workplace a little less scary. Alex's friend Stacy decided to nickname the spirit Bob. Pretty nice name, not even kidding. He shook the door at her when she named him. Now, Bob was an interesting fellow. As the months and hauntings continued, my brother noticed a pattern with him. His favorite theater rooms were 3 and 6 where horror movies played. He realized they might be his favorites because he was able to feed off the fear the moviegoers would feel. This was one of the best theories he could come up with, which actually makes sense. Bob also had a sense of humor, bad humor. In the theater, there was a place that the employees would call the Ghost Hall, which is a long concrete hallway used as an emergency exit, but other than that, never really had a purpose. On my brother's end shift, he would have to lock up and set up the security system, or would leave the door at the end of the ghost hallway open, wait for my brother to notice on the security cameras, wait for him to go and try to close it, and then slam it, leaving him in the dark with at least 20 feet of darkness above and 10 feet of darkness around. He never successfully locked him out of the theater. It started to take a liking to him, and he was worried if it was demonic at one point where he would request a light off at will and have it shut off. He quit his job a while ago, but that still doesn't stop him from seeing Bob moving around the projection window. Amazing and creepy. I was performing in a play at my local community theater. Before the play starts, or towards the end of an intermission, it's normal for someone on the stage crew, usually the stage manager or assistant director, to periodically poke their heads into the dressing rooms to let everyone know how long they have left until curtain up. The venue I perform with only has one dressing room, so both boys and girls use it at the same time. Now, it's a theater, and we're all sitting around, chatting, when the guy opens the door and does the call. So one of the guys thought somebody was using one of the 2 bathrooms in there, and one was obviously empty. He knocks on the door and says, 2 minutes. At least 5 of us, me and the guy that knocked, and maybe 3 others, had a female voice from inside clearly say, "Thank you." After about 30 more seconds, when no one came out, he knocked again and opened the door, and there wasn't anyone in there. There are no windows in that bathroom, and only one door opening into the dressing room. We were all standing there, and the voice definitely had the echoing, muffled quality that you'd expect to hear from someone in a bathroom. The guy that knocked insisted he heard it coming from inside. Not only was he right next to me in the door, but he's not the type of person to believe in paranormal occurrences. Hey there. Hope you enjoyed these stories. If you can, please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. See you next time.